I'd like to call this meeting of the Sterling Heights City Council to order. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Riska. Can we have the roll call?
Mayor Taylor?
Here.
Mrs. Rasky?
Here.
Mrs. Kosky?
Present.
Mr. Radke?
Present.
Schmidt?
Present.
Yanas?
Here.
Mrs. Yergo?
Present.
Council, we need approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Kosky.
move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. First item on our agenda tonight is a report from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to begin with an update on the 4th of July calendar. Please be reminded that city offices will be closed for business on Friday, which is July 4th. Closures include City Hall, the Library, Community Center, Senior Center, District Court, and so on. Normal hours will resume on Monday. There'll be a one-day delay in refuse collection, so please take note of that. Friday will be collected on Saturday. And what I really want to remind everyone about again is that state law prohibits the city from banning the use of consumer-grade fireworks from June 29th until the day after the 4th, which this year is Saturday. So fireworks can only be discharged on those days from 11 a.m. until 11:45 p.m. and only on private property with permission of the property owner. And we have police officers in the audience this evening. They do their best to enforce this, so if you violate those hours or you're doing it on roads or in sidewalks and so on, you run the risk of a hefty fine. So again, please take note of that. In addition, we do enforce littering. If you have firework debris that ends up on other people's property or on sidewalks and roads, that all has to be cleaned up as quickly as possible. So please take note of that restriction. Firework usage beyond those days, again, that's the 29th through the 5th, is not permitted in Sterling Heights unless it's Labor Day or New Year's Day and a couple of other days throughout the year, but otherwise it's not allowed in Sterling Heights. Mayor, I also wanted to call to everyone's attention that starting this evening, roller skaters and roller bladers can come to Dodge Park Farmers Market Pavilion to skate with a live DJ and enjoy food trucks and other festivities. Again, that begins this evening and continues on July 15th, August 19th, and September 9th, so please take note of that. Also, we still have our dog licensing amnesty program underway. Everyone has until June 30th to register their dogs if they're not registered already, so please take note of that. Again, that's June 30th. And also, I wanted to highlight another really interesting Parks and Recreation event, and that is the Great Outdoor Backyard Campout, which is at our Nature Center on June 28th. And so for those who are camping enthusiasts or just want to enjoy this for the first time, the night will be filled with crafts, challenges, stargazing, and of course a campfire. So you can go to our website to register for that event. It's so popular. You need to register by June 25th. So please take note of that exciting event as well. Also, we have the Juneteenth celebration this week, so please take note of that as well. It will certainly be a jam-packed Dodge Park Thursday, this Thursday. And Mayor, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to update everyone again. I mentioned a couple projects at the last couple of meetings, but we have a number of road projects that are under construction and will be under construction for the remainder of this construction season, so going up into January 2026. First, as everyone knows, the 18-mile road bridge project continues. The 18-mile road is still closed in that area, just beyond our Public Works building. You still cannot get through And likewise, coming from Mound, you cannot get through, so please take note of that. In addition, the paving has started on 18 Mile Road between Utica and Van Dyke. Traffic will be open only one way, so please take note of that. And once the northbound lane is done, or the north side, it'll switch to the south side, and the opposite one-way traffic will then be in place. So we expect that project will be wrapped up by the end of the construction season. Now, it will be on pause during Sterling Fest, so we're trying to work through that and make sure that we have good access during Sterling Fest. Also wanted to mention that 17 Mile Road between Van Dyke and Mound Road will also begin. That will start in July and will go through late October, so please take note of that. That'll be a great improvement, desperately needed. It will not only clean up the roadway, it'll be a new road, but also the right-of-way, new landscaping, some new lighting, and so on. It'll look really nice. Dobry Road, actually it's on the agenda for tonight, assuming it's approved by City Council. That project will commence in mid-July as well and be completed by Labor Day, so please take note of Dobry Road. 14 Mile Road, I mentioned this at the last meeting, that will start in August and be finished up by Labor Day. And when I say 14 Mile Road, that is between Van Dyke and Maple Lane. That's a big project. And most noteworthy, the two bridges in Hayes near Utica Road. So the bridge on Hayes, just north of Utica Road, is going to be replaced. So Hayes Road is going to be closed in July in that area. In addition, the bridge right around the corner on Utica Road is going to be reconstructed at the same time, and that section of Utica Road will be closed. For those who travel that area, please take note. Now, the good news
Just
there,
every day.
this is every day through year end. Now, the good news here is that if you're westbound on Metro Parkway and you want to come up Utica, you won't be able to do that unless it's through traffic. But you can continue on westbound and go to Shaner. It's a minor detour. By the way, this is a county road project, not a city project. Our local road projects have begun, and those closures start in July. Our local road program started last week. They're well underway. Those of you who have road projects in your neighborhoods, you know they're disruptive, but they always look good when they're done, and I know that residents appreciate the work. And lastly, our sidewalk program commenced in the northeast section of our city. We changed the program, as we mentioned earlier. It'll be focusing on the worst of the worst of sidewalk all across the city. And as a reminder, this is done through the PPP. There is no longer a special, when I say PPP, that is Pathways to Plain Preservation millage that was passed by voters last November. That millage now funds the sidewalk program. There's no longer a sidewalk special assessment. And Mayor, I'd like to conclude my report with a special presentation. We talk a lot about economic development and all that we're trying to do to help businesses across the city start up and grow. And our economic development advisor, Luke Bonner, would like to take a couple minutes to walk through a new and exciting program.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderpool, and good evening, Mayor Taylor, members of council. This is a program we're really excited about. I spoke about this briefly at the budget hearings. So this particular tool is called Size Up, who we've partnered with to provide first-class data and analytics to small businesses, startups, and entrepreneurs in the city that are seeking support for their business. It's an outward-facing tool, so it's on the website. It's accessible at any time. We particularly like the amount of services and data that are provided through Size Up, which of course is also an award-winning company in and of itself. They've been around for about 20 years, and they have grown their different data platforms to help companies in very different aspects of their research. So we have access to primarily 4 tools. The first is the local business intelligence tool, which is a business benchmarking tool. So a company can go online and compare their business to others in the area to see what they're doing right and maybe where they need to improve. There's a small business advisor component to this that really helps with business planning and business growth. Gives a lot of information on market research as well. The Shop Local feature allows residents and businesses to find what is available locally. So our local mom and pop restaurants and other businesses are available through that. And then the Size Up Pulse has real-time business intelligence via a GIS mapping system. There are 2 general locations where this will be housed, one on the Sterling Heights website, the other on the Velocity website, which I'll take you to very quickly, just to give you an idea of what the entry point will be if someone clicks on this resource and starts to use it. So there are several instructional videos that can help somebody get started and what each of these different tools means. And then as you go through the rest of the website, there are the different platforms to actually get started. I would recommend when you have time to check this out, toy around with the different platforms, kind of see how it works. We have probably a dozen between Velocity and City Hall employees that have been trained on how to use this. So the idea is if someone actually is trying to use this online, they have questions, they can certainly go to the Velocity team, but they could go to the city clerk's office, they could go to the library, they could go to planning, and they would have somebody else available to help them navigate through some of these programs. And then lastly, just a quick video that summarizes Size Up overall. This QR code actually takes you to a registration for a launch event that we're having tomorrow at the community center at 10 o'clock. This is via webinar. We have about 60 people that are registered and will be there in person tomorrow as well. So there'll be a live demonstration of the Size Up tool from the founders and partners at Size Up. And then we'll have a series of presentations and speeches to those that show up tomorrow. So thank you very much. It's something we're really excited about.
And Mayor, I just wanted to conclude by thanking Mr. Bonner, our city development team, and our Velocity team, led by Paula McPherson, for getting this all set up. They've been working on it for quite some time. You've heard me say many times before that how much time we spend on our big companies like Stellantis and General Dynamics and BAE and now Lakeside. We've been working on that for years. And so we spend a lot of time with our big companies. And at the same time, we're trying to do all that we can for our thousands of small businesses that really drive our local economy. So this is one more tool in the toolbox. I think you will agree that it's undoubtedly going to be very helpful. So, Mayor, that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Vanderpool, and thank you, Mr. Bonner, for your presentation. We appreciate it. Next on our agenda tonight is an ordinance introduction. This is to consider introduction of an ordinance amending Chapter 20 of the City Code to adopt the 2024 International Fire Code with local amendments. Presentation from our Fire Chief, Kevin Edmond. Chief Edmond.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Mr. Vanderpool. I'm here tonight to talk about the fire code update, and I've brought along my team that's helped develop this. So fire codes are updated over time to reflect the knowledge gained from research and lessons from tragic events that's happened in the past. As technology has changed ever since we introduced the 2015 fire code in 2017, there's new and emerging hazards that we have to deal with. The increase in battery technology presents a new hazards to fire departments, but also technology helps increase our safety. So a new feature such as smart electric burners on electric stoves will prevent a cooktop fire. So that will help us, so that technology is helping us. So we are looking forward to presenting this information and adopting the 2024 fire code. It provides us the ability to consistently manage these hazards going forward. It provides information for the businesses as they move through the system, and ensures that we keep our main focus on life safety, property protection, and also mitigate any of the future risks that we are presented with currently. At this time, what I want to do is offer Don some opportunity to say some words, because he was heavily involved in the ordinance process as they kind of reviewed it for the best practices.
If I may, good evening, Mayor, members of council. I don't know, I should have found the statistic for you. I don't know how many times now I've done a fire code for the city. It goes back to, I think, the year 2000. And we don't do them on the every 3-year cycle that the codes come out. But just for a little bit of background for all of you, most of you have already been through this probably before, once, twice, 3 or 4 times with me. The gist of it is that it's a very detail-oriented job. You go through this entire book, this 600-plus pages of text, good reading for tonight if any of you need some help getting to sleep. And, you know, I usually like to bring a little piece of interesting trivia. This book covers so many topics that we don't even think about in our daily lives. And to me, the most interesting one that I found in there is there's an entire chapter devoted to distilleries and the storage of wine and spirits. So you don't think about those kinds of things, though, when you're adopting a code like this. And it's a tool that the fire departments very much rely on and appreciate. And as the chief mentioned, with technology evolving as it is, as fast as it is, 2015 fire code couldn't keep up. You may ask yourselves, why are we adopting the 24 and 25? Well, they come out every 3 years, but they never come out on time. So this 24, we were actually looking at adopting the 21 when the 24 finally got released. And we thought, okay, can we get to the most current fire code, but know that we're not caught up at the building code level? Because the building code is still on 18, 21 now? They just got to 21. So you can see this, the pattern there is they don't stay together. And so we wanted to make sure as we put this together for you that we went through every chapter, every detail, and we came up with an idea that we've never used before, which was to the extent that the 24 building code isn't out yet. There are a couple of chapters in here that we don't want to have a conflict with, right? We don't want chapter 9, 10, 11, or whichever the 3 chapters were in 24 fire code to conflict with anything in 21 building code. So we went through and meticulously said, okay, we're going to keep the 21 stuff for those. If there's a few things we can adjust to the 24, we will. And then every other chapter we went through piece by piece with a really incredible team. This is the first time in all the years that I've done the fire codes that I've had so many different voices and so many different eyes on it. And it's really a testament to how, you know, we all talk about too many cooks in the kitchen. You can't have enough cooks in the kitchen when you're relying on experience, actual scenarios, detail-oriented review. So we just had the greatest time, I think, together working through all the issues. So,
What if the kitchen is in the garage?
well, if the kitchen's in a garage, you can only have so many cooks that can get to the stove, right? So the other cook, you got your sous chefs, and you got so they'd have to. No, I appreciate that remark. But no, it's right on point, Mayor, and that's exactly what we're trying to address in here is some of the things that the fire department has to deal with. And so with that, you've got a summary in front of you, so I won't bore you with all of the details or the nitty gritty, but I'm sure some of you have got some great questions, and that's what we're all here to answer.
And what I'd like to do is end by thanking the team members that did all this hard work. Fire Marshal Mike Solomon, Community Risk Reduction Officer Tracy Davis, retired person Sean Allen, who also committed a lot of time. So this took 12 months to get through. They looked at best practices all the way through as they looked at the code. And I couldn't be more proud of the team. And Don helped all the way through and making sure everything was right as far as the legal stuff. So I appreciate the work of Don and all my team members. And we're here to answer any questions that you may have tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Denal. Thank you to the team that worked on this as well. So I'll go to the audience. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Sarowski.
resolved to introduce the ordinance amending Chapter 20 of the City Code to adopt the 2024 International Fire Code with local amendments.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Sarowski?
Very briefly, I just have a couple questions, actually, through the chair to the chief. And my question is, and maybe Mr. Denault needs to also answer that, what is your first thing that you need to tackle with this new fire code? Or is there anything?
I would say that the first thing we need to do is make sure everybody's fully aware of it. Anytime that we've gone through any plan reviews right now, we have made that known that we will be transitioning to this code, so everybody's kind of aware of that. So what we look at as the projects come forward, as we do the code analysis and code review for the blueprints, the site analysis, that's when we'll really start applying it. I can have the fire marshal come up here and say how they're going to apply it when they actually go out and do inspections.
Thank
So
you.
Mike, could you come up and talk about that?
Good evening,
Good evening.
council members. So we would use the 2024 code to information when we go out and do the inspections, make sure everything's up to date, like their fire safety systems, fire alarms, fire suppression systems. I don't know.
All right, well, that helps.
Yeah.
And so, in addition to, does this change how you look at residential issues as well, or is this specifically for commercial?
Specifically for commercial.
All right, that's all I have, so thank you very much.
All you have, period?
That was, yes, that's all
Okay.
I have.
All
Mary.
right. Wasn't sure if you meant just for him.
Mary.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Mrs. Zarko, I think you seconded.
Well, thank you, Mayor Taylor. I don't have much. I just want to, you know what, I really appreciate the team leadership. I think that working as a team, I think we get the best results that we need to make a decision, so I appreciate all of that. And I appreciate Mr. Denault for bringing that to our attention as to how much easier his job was because of the team. So, and basically, my question would be, and I think it's pretty much similar to Mrs. Sarowski's, is does this change anything that so whoever wants to answer, does this change anything we're doing right now? I mean,
It doesn't change any of the processes that we have right now, but we'll have different standards as they go out. Some of the storage requirements are going to change a little bit in a 2024 code. So like when they do the research and technology has evolved, we kind of look at, the experts do look at what kind of mitigation that we need to do. That may be lowering the storage amount of certain materials. It might be extra early detection of certain materials. Like I mentioned with the cooktop stoves, that's a new technology that will go into electric stovetops. So as a fire starts on there, it'll immediately cut the power to that, so you don't have the chance of increase in that fire. So things like that will go into effect once we get this passed to help us with those things.
okay, and how do we notify facilities that the code has changed and they're required to do different?
So everything that we're doing right now, it'll be on the website, so it'll be available to them. We could definitely go out and do like, not a marketing campaign, but, you know, informational bulletin that will go to all the businesses so they're aware of what the current code is and where they could get access to it. Because you can view the 2024 fire code online for free. You just can't print it. So you could look stuff up on there. Anybody that comes to the city with plan development, we sit down with them. We make sure their concerns are aware, and we kind of work through those projects. Since I've been fire chief, we've been trying to be very collaborative with developers, so we'll look at their concerns with the fire code, because decisions that we make to now may last for 30 or 50 years in the future, and I want to make sure we got the best decision with the best information at the time.
And that helps us too, by giving us the best information to make the decisions that we have to make. So I appreciate that. Nothing further, but thank you for all your hard work and the entire team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, anyone else?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much. It sounded like a tremendous amount of work. You know, when Mr. Denault said there's things that you wouldn't even imagine that you had to consider in this. And you guys put in 12 months worth of hard work, and we really appreciate it. It's about the safety of our community, and that's the bottom line for me. I guess my only question is, Chief, the current businesses that don't fall into the new compliance, will they have a certain amount of time to come into compliance? Are they grandfathered in? How is that going to work?
So when we go out and do an inspection and there's a violation, we work with that business owner to correct that violation. It might be as simple as moving some storage materials because they have too close to a hot water tank, they have too close to the furnace. Those are things that have been out there forever. If it's something new that comes out in the code that may require some adjustments to their facility, different ways of storing it, we're always working with the community and the business community to try to find the right solution and the right amount of time to make that transition.
Okay,
So
there
we don't
won't-
go out there and just say, this has got to be done tomorrow or else.
Okay, there won't be fines involved if.
Only if they're
They-
being given plenty of opportunity to
Opportunity.
correct the situation, and then we have to come with the enforcement
Right.
side. We'd rather do the education. We try to, our philosophy right now in the Fire Prevention Division is education to the community, to why this needs to be done a certain way, to provide that education, to kind of move them in that direction versus coming down with a hammer and a bunch of fines.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there's some sort of cliff notes of this large document that we can maybe distribute to our commercial businesses.
We have a person in the department that they can call. We can make that number available, so if they have questions, they can call them and kind of get an expert's opinion.
But what if
on
they
it.
don't realize that this is changing?
Well, what we'll do is we'll try to do a mass, thing out there to them. We'll work with the community relations to get something pushed out to all the businesses.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Mrs. Konski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair to the chief, I'm very, very pleased to see a 2024 fire code. Usually it's what, 2-3 years? Anyway, with Lakeside coming, is there anything in this new code that would have any effect on the new construction that's going to go in there? I'm looking at the buildings, the 5-story buildings, part residential, part commercial. Is there any changes that would affect that?
I couldn't speak to specific changes that might be there right now, but what I can tell you is we've had strong conversations with the engineers right from the very beginning of the planning, saying we're going to go to the 2024. I believe all their designs are at the 2024 fire code. When we talk about the monthly meetings with them, we've always had those discussions with them and tried to, as we went forward with that project, making sure all the city services were represented. I can remember being in one meeting and we were talking about things that DPW would be doing, and they were not included on those very initial meetings. So there was a point to say, hey, we need to bring them into the fold to make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on up there.
Well, my main concern also is the ability to get the fire trucks through the project, through the site, without any problems or any parked cars to try to get around.
We feel very comfortable with that because we've talked to them up front and we've addressed all those issues with them. So this current site plan that they have meets our approval. And it has for a couple months.
How many pages? 1 million? You did a good job as always. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Konski. Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Briefly, I'm excited to approve this, but there are two issues that I have questions with. The first one is D102.1.1, which is the no corner connections. And I guess my question is, if we're trying to create a more dense city or give property owners more ability to use their sites, having 10 feet minimum distance between corners of buildings seems like it would severely spread out a site when there might be an easier way to solve the problem. Right here it lists that the distance feature is essentially to get fire apparatus between them, but looking at the two prohibited examples, they also have trees and other things that are in the way. So I'm not sure if it's really necessary, and I guess my question is there another way to solve this without requiring buildings to be 10 feet apart?
The reason that we were looking at that option is because we have a lot of apartment complexes that were built a long time ago before any of us was there. When we actually have to fight a fire in there, these apartment buildings that are tied together, nothing by the corners touching. So if we need to deploy hose lines around them or get around them, it takes a tremendous amount of effort. If we do what we want to do as a 360 on arrival to make sure fire isn't spreading to other places, it takes us a tremendous amount of time to do that. So what we're trying to do as we go in the future and we look at these site developments is to make sure it doesn't take an ATV to get around the vehicle to make sure,
Well,
around
I
the building.
understand your concern, but I guess my concern is this requires a lot more land, because you're making the site less dense by requiring 10 feet distance between corners of buildings. So that's my.
As we go through the planning
Let me finish-
process,
let me
okay,
finish,
sorry.
Chief. Thank you. And I guess, is there an easier way or another way? I understand that the idea is to get 360 around the building, but I'm wondering if it's more of an issue with making it easier versus, is it going to improve safety? And for me, I'm concerned about less densifying sites, because I live in a building that would be, I guess, prohibited under this standard, but it creates nice courtyards and a nice, quiet area for people. If you spread buildings further out, I just think it loses some of its neighborhood and niceness feel. So I guess, please, Chief, go ahead.
As we look at future buildings, any building that's currently constructed does not have to try to separate and do this 10 feet, so that doesn't apply to them. Any building that's currently up and functioning gets grandfathered in. That code doesn't apply to them. As we go forward and we look at these site developments, we're always looking at the developer, looking at the best way for that safety, because that safety is not only for our residents, but also for our firefighters. So if we've got a firefighter that's hanging off, or a resident that's hanging off one of these back buildings, and it's gonna take us a while to get to them, that increases that time, or decreases the time that we have to make that effective rescue for them.
But you will admit the fire code is about a cost-value analysis. The idea is that we want to make sure that we're both keeping people safe while also making construction the best that we can. Because, I mean, I guess you could add 40 feet between buildings, and that would make residences even safer, but at what cost? So to me, I'm not sure, maybe my colleagues have no problem with it, but to me, it seems that that is not a smart judgment of cost-benefit analysis. So that's why I'm concerned about it, because the design, I guess, functions, and I'm just worried that there might be a way to get your fire truck around the building that doesn't require 10 feet distance between buildings.
As we look at those plans, it may require a fire apparatus to get around it. It may require fire personnel to drag a hose line around it to get to the place a little bit quicker. So we always, as we go forward and look at these plans, work with the developer to come up with the best solution.
I just want to head off a lot of things up front that would have to then be done through PUD. Because I guess the developer, if he didn't like the determination, or you could come to us for a PUD to try to get around these standards. That's my concern.
Anytime that we go through the PUD process, I've kind of requested that we be involved in them, because some of the past projects that were approved prior to my tenure, some of the PUDs caused some issues, so we went back and adjusted those for both the benefit of the person that was doing the development and for the city to make it safer.
Okay. The second change, and one that I spoke with Sustainability Chair Nathan Inks about, was the fact that both the EPA and Birmingham, Michigan have parking on two-sided streets that are 26 feet in width in their code. We have mostly 28-foot streets now. We're not going to change. When they're rebuilt, that's what it is. Otherwise, we have to move gutters, we have to move drains. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. But I would recommend to this body, and I'll be making the motion either here or the next meeting, to go to a 26-foot wide street with parking on both sides, because that's what the EPA recommends. That's what Birmingham, Michigan, which is an ISO 2 fire department, does. I don't see the need for an extra 2 feet in width on our streets, especially when a 5-foot square of concrete, at least 2 years ago, cost $172. So if we can carve off 2 feet in width on a street going forward, on new streets only, I think we could save millions of dollars in future costs. That's what I guess I would recommend to this body, because to me, it doesn't make sense. If Birmingham can do it and they have much more of a downtown than we do, we can do it too. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Anything, Mr. Yanez? So just one follow-up on that, Chief, because I'm looking at the images that are contained in that D 102.1.1, and it shows buildings, and I know it's hard for the audience, but it's essentially buildings where the corners are touching, and you're saying that would be prohibited. But I don't think it would be prohibited if it was one building in a horseshoe shape, would it?
That is correct.
So what concerns me, just like with Mr. Radke, is, what if a developer comes in and they want to put in a horseshoe building? Okay, they've got the land for it, and they say, we're gonna do this, but they say, well, instead of that, we're gonna basically take the corners out of that, or take some space out of that to leave green space for the residents, which is also a goal of ours. So they'd be in compliance if they filled in those areas with a building, which would make it just as difficult for the fire department to get to it. And they'd be out of compliance if they removed those areas as shown on the image in the proposed code. So I do think that perhaps that there's, perhaps I'd like to see something about that changed. But you can take these comments from Mr. Radke and me, and I guess the administration can think about it. Mr. Denault's writing notes, and we can see if there's anything that can be done about that specific aspect of it. I get it that we want to keep the residents safe first and foremost, the firefighters safe first and foremost, and then make sure that our land use is appropriate. But yeah, it seems odd to me that if they filled in the buildings there, they'd be allowed to do it. So I don't see what the difference is. But that's really all I have. I do want to thank you guys for the incredibly hard work that you put into this. It really shows, and I appreciate everything the fire department does. You guys are the best in Michigan and beyond, and we're very lucky to have you. So thank you, Chief, and thank you to everybody else who participated in putting this code together. So, council, with no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Move on to the next item on our agenda tonight, which is an ordinance adoption. This is to adopt the final amendment to the appropriations ordinance for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Anyone in the audience have any comments on this? Council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Zarko.
Resolve to adopt the final amendment to the appropriations ordinance for the 2024-25 fiscal year.
Support.
It's been moved and supported with any discussion?
I think this has been explained to us, I don't have any questions, so nothing further for me.
Okay, council, anyone else? No further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. Is there anyone with any comments on the consent agenda? Not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next up is a consideration. This is to consider a request by True North to Freedom for recognition as a local nonprofit organization for the purpose of obtaining a state of Michigan charitable gaming license. Is the applicant in the audience? Is there any comments you want to make or any presentation you want to make? You don't have to. You can make yourself available for questions. They're going to ask you what you guys do. They're going to ask you to promote your organization. They're going to ask you what the date of the fundraiser is. So you might as well just tell us.
The mayor's trying to help you out.
Appreciate it. My name's Claudia Royal. I'm the secretary of the True North to Freedom Board, and we are a nonprofit who help survivors of human trafficking. We walk with them through the long process of healing and help them connect to counseling and just help them heal from their struggle. And sorry, a little nervous. Our fundraisers.
Okay. There's probably 15 people at home watching right now. They watch it over the course of the week, though.
15 over the course of the week, Mike?
No, I would say the live viewers are relatively small, but there's people who catch it.
Okay. All right. So anyways, we help them with like budgeting and financial planning and goal setting, also stress and relaxation techniques so that they can just get over this horrible situation they've been in. We also refer them to counseling and legal services, help them get driver's licenses, those sort of things. Once a month, we have a community meal for the survivors we work with. And we also do training sessions with sort of life skills courses like knitting and just other things to help them get through. We have a food pantry and a clothing pantry. And we also help them a lot with transportation, which is difficult, Uber and Lyft rides, that type of thing. So as of 2024, our impact was we've helped 85 survivors with 1,200 hours of case management. And the case management is always one-on-one and, directly impacted by how they are dealing with everything, how they are handling things. We provided Christmas gifts for 15 families, and we've had 12 community meals, so once a month. And we've spent $333,000 plus in survivor assistance, which is through the Lyft rides and gift cards, which they are responsible to bring back receipts of what they've spent it on, like for Meijer and Walmart and those kind of places. So it also helps them learn accountability. We've done 303 hours of counseling through Ignicer, which is the counseling center we use for 23 clients. And we've distributed 3,328 items through our food, personal items, and clothing pantry, and 653 gift cards. And we became a nonprofit in September of 2021. And prior to that, we were a different organization, and we've morphed into this organization. And so that's when we were established. And our fundraising dates are, we're having a golf outing on August 22nd, at which we want to have 2 raffles, and we're also having a fundraiser gala event October 10th. So.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Very thorough. I appreciate the information and appreciate the good work you're doing
Thank you.
in Sterling Heights and around the Metro Detroit area.
Thank you.
It's really important, too. Okay. You guys can sit there if you want, and then if the council has any questions,
Okay.
you can call you back up then.
Okay,
Okay?
great. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else in the audience? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Schmidt.
Resolved that the request from True North to Freedom of Sterling Heights, County of Macomb, asking that they be recognized as a local nonprofit organization for the purpose of obtaining a state of Michigan charitable gaming license be considered for approval, provided, however, that this action is not an endorsement of the organization and the city of Sterling Heights should not be listed on any promotional materials associated with their charitable gaming activities.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. First of all, what a wonderful organization. This is kind of like the situation that nobody wants to admit happens out there. And I will say that my daughter works for an organization quite like yours up in Saginaw. It happens more often than not, than people really realize. So you really have a clientele that needs support and needs understanding and help and guidance, and I thank you for being there for them. It's not just women, it's also men, it's young people, and I really appreciate what you're doing in our community. The state makes you jump through this hoop. I know, being a band booster, a former band booster board member, you need to have this to raise your funds, and hopefully you're very, very, very successful. I wish you nothing but the best.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo my colleague, Mrs. Schmidt. I appreciate you coming here. You gave a great presentation. Some of us take for granted that we speak in front of people all the time, and you did a wonderful job, so congratulations. But I also want to thank your organization for the good work that they're doing. It's so important, and public service spans all kinds of different aspects, and organizations like yours are what make our community a community. So I'm happy to support this. I wish you the best of luck in your fundraising endeavors. I assume you'll be very successful. And if you need anything else, please come back and see us. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Radke. Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Also, I have a couple of questions, if you could come up, because although you gave us what the events are going to be, you didn't say where.
Oh, sorry. The golf outing is at Greystone Golf Course at like 32 Mile and Mound. And the gala fundraiser is at the Oakland Country? Great Oaks. Great Oaks Country Club in
Okay,
Rochester.
great. And how are you going to advertise this?
This will just be done at the event. We will not be advertising it in advance of the event.
Okay, so, but if people want to come, how are they going to know to come? Or is it just your
Where do they
already,
get tickets?
how are you selling your
Tickets
tickets?
are on our website.
Okay.
For the golf outing. Yep,
All right, so we need to,
We don't have the fundraiser on our website yet.
correct.
okay, yeah, because we want to make sure that we get people to you. So
Yes,
that's
thank you.
important. Yes, okay, very good. Well, thank you very much, and I've already written them down, so and while I've got you, before you go, what is your website?
TrueNorthToFreedom.org.
Got it. And 2 is the TO, not the number 2.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, TO. Got it. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Council, anyone else? Mrs.
Mayor-
Zarko.
Hi, thank you, Mayor Taylor, even though I'm probably going to be repetitious, but I want to say I applaud you for your efforts in advocating for, survivors of human trafficking and labor trafficking. And we don't think about that too much, but it does happen. You explain some of the things that you did, so whoever wants to answer me. The job, you do housing, do you have a facility where people can stay interim, or is that something that you're working for?
We're working towards that. We want to actually build a village at some point, but currently we just connect them with other organizations that can help provide emergency housing, or sometimes we do put them up in a hotel for an evening or two until they can get into a shelter type place, because sometimes they're full. Also, shelters don't always take women with their children. And so it's, so we help them find housing, but we do not currently run a housing situation.
Okay, and how does, say, our police department or a fire department do they know to reach you in some of these cases where if they know somebody that is a survivor or needs help, are they able to contact you so that you can help them get the help that they need?
So we've worked with MCAT, which is Macomb County Anti-Trafficking Organization, and with the Macomb County Police. We haven't worked with every police department in Macomb County, but so through that, we're listed on the, contact information that the police departments can access, and so they could contact us that way.
Okay, well, first of all, you have a great mission. And I think that with the help of the community and in the fundraising that you're doing, some of the goals that you have set up, whether it be for housing or education, or I'm impressed that you help them get legal documents, whether it be a driver's license, or I'm sure some of them are entitled to benefits that they don't even know they could, file for. So that's what I really appreciate, and I see that your mission will definitely expand in the future, and I wish you so much luck, and just keep us informed as to when your projects are and your fundraisers so that we can help you out.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck to you guys. Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda tonight is a consideration item. This is to consider approval of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Sterling Heights and MAPE Supervisory Employees Union with a presentation from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. As you and the council know, new job classifications are periodically created within the city's bargaining units for a myriad of reasons, including when a new position is needed to address a specific departmental initiative or need. In such circumstances, the city has to negotiate with the respective union to develop the memorandum of understanding that establishes a job classification. And that is what is before you this evening. Since January 1, 2015, the city has contracted economic development services with Bonner Advisory Group, LLC. Over the past 10 years, Senior Economic Development Advisor Luke Bonner has played a critical role in shaping the city's economic development strategy along with our entire team, and has been principally focused on major large-scale projects, including, but not limited to, obviously the Lakeside Mall development. We've been working on that for about 10 years now. The North Van Dyke Area Master Development Plan, that is done, has been approved, and many of the projects are underway already in that area with many more to come. The Sunnybrook Golf Course redevelopment, that has been mostly developed. There's only a couple of parcels left, but you know that has paid big dividends for our manufacturing corridor. The redevelopment and expansion of SHAP, as you know, that was scheduled to close, and thanks to the city's effort, and Mr. Bonner played a major leadership role there, the plant was not only saved, but Stellantis has invested billions of dollars in the facility since it was saved. The Liberty Park development, some of you may recall, that in and of itself was a major brownfield redevelopment project, and that project too speaks for itself. And I should also mention Mound and M59. That is something Mr. Bonner's been hard at work on over the years, along with our city development department, meeting with countless meetings involving the ownership team there and so on. And as I've mentioned previously, we have about $40 million in various improvements coming to that corner over the next couple of years, not to mention some of the public improvements along the roadway and so on. So massive improvements on that corner, but these projects take years and years and hundreds of hours of effort. And although Bonner Advisory Group's project focus services have produced these incredible results, there's been a growing recognition that many traditional economic development services are beyond the bandwidth of a consultant who's focused on these macro level projects. And because economic development is critical in the financial well-being of the city, you heard in the earlier report how important our efforts are to the entire business community, especially small businesses. We felt that there needs to be an increase in manpower. And thus, the City Council has budgeted, it's already approved in the current, in the fiscal year 26 budget, which starts July 1st, funds for a new economic development job classification. To create the economic development manager classification, again, as I mentioned, the city engaged in discussions with the respective union, and that produced the MOU before you this evening. The key duties of this position, by the way, I should mention, we did have an economic development manager position in the old days, so to speak, before Mr. Bonner. So this is a bit of a back to the future type of thing. But the primary duties of the economic development manager include development and implementation of a successful, sustainable program for business retention and business recruitment. We've talked about this a lot. There is a need to have a more sustained effort to reach out to our current businesses. That's where you're most likely going to get growth. And to ensure that we're doing all that we can as a city to meet their needs and any expansion plans that we have on the horizon. We certainly do not want our thousands of businesses looking elsewhere to expand. We want to make sure that we can accommodate their needs here. But that takes a concerted effort, someone reaching out to them, sustainable, regular collaboration with our existing businesses, and also working on a concerted campaign for recruitment efforts as well for new businesses. Staying abreast of economic development trends across the metropolitan area to make sure we know how our businesses are being impacted. Coordinating economic resources that are available to the city to achieve key objectives in developing our strategic plan. Working with local, county, state partners. And as you know, we have many of them. We work with our partners all the time in these areas. The mayor knows we're working now with the state legislature to change or amend the transformational brownfield plan. And thankfully, that legislative effort is moving forward. It's going to benefit Lakeside Mall. It's the last hurdle we need to clear. It's going to benefit the city of Detroit and other communities across the state, but that takes a lot of work, and that takes a lot of manpower to do that. So this position will be involved in that as well. And we're a bit of a victim of our own success. When we have these major projects and initiatives that come to light, they beget more projects. And we've had to create additional entities. For example, 20 years ago, we didn't have a corridor improvement authority to help work hand in hand with those stakeholders to stimulate development on North Van Dyke, for example. Now we have a second corridor improvement authority who's working hand in hand, or will be, with the Lakeside Redevelopment Project, in addition to our Economic Development Brownfield Authority and our Local Development Finance Authority. These are boards that are focused on economic development. The members are appointed by the mayor and council, and that requires a lot of coordination and effort, and these groups have grown over the years. The new classification, Economic Development Manager, is integral to the evolving city's robust economic development initiatives. All these projects speak for themselves. And with all this in mind, I'm respectfully recommending mayor and council approval of the MOU before you this evening. And again, this position is budgeted in the forthcoming budget. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? Council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Resolved to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Sterling Heights and MAPE Supervisory Employees Union, creating the Economic Development Manager job classification, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign it on behalf of the city.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Just a quick few comments. Thank you, Mayor Taylor. So I think this is a good position. Business development is extremely important in our city, and I'm very happy to see that we're taking it to this level. But Mr. Vanderpool did explain it quite well, so I do not have any questions. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is a consideration to consider appointments to the City of Sterling Heights boards and commissions. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item? All right, council, we have, first up is the second step in the Planning Commission. Is there anyone who'd like to make that motion?
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Resolved to appoint Fiorella Lesas to the Planning Commission to a term ending June 30th, 2025, subject to the appointee meeting the qualifications set forth in Charter Subset 4.03 and taking the oath of office within 2 weeks.
Support.
It's been moved and supported, but that would give her 13 days.
Oh, so I'm sorry. You're
So
right.
we want to give her
Let me
a
correct
full
that.
term here.
What is,
So you said June 30th, 2025. So I would entertain a motion to, do we
Correct.
need her to
Can I-
amend her motion?
okay, thank you all. Could I make a motion to amend my motion?
Yeah, I'd entertain a motion to amend the motion to a term ending June 30, 2028.
Support.
I'd say so moved.
So moved.
Support. Okay.
I don't want to repeat what you're saying, so.
All in favor? Okay, let's vote on the motion to amend. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Any discussion on this motion?
No, I've had enough, thank you.
Council, anyone else? All those in favor, so this is the main motion now. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Sarowski.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we have Beautification Commission, 2 open seats. This is a council appointment. There are different term ending dates, so we'll take these one at a time unless we have nobody to appoint. Council?
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Schmidt?
Resolved to appoint Susan Gale Trombley to the Beautification Commission to a term ending June 30th, 2026, subject to the appointee meeting the qualifications set forth in Charter 4.03 and taking the oath of office within 2 weeks.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Sure, Mayor Taylor, I'll say that Mrs. Trombley contacted me after the city contacted her to see if she was interested in the position, and she was very excited to have been contacted. So I think she'll make a good addition.
Great. Council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We have one more appointment on the Beautification Commission. Is there anyone who'd like to make that motion?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Schmidt.
Resolved to appoint Thomas Howard III to the Beautification Commission to a term ending June 30th, 2027, subject to the appointing meeting the qualifications set forth in Charter 4.03 and taking the oath of office within 2 weeks.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
It's the same. The city has contacted him. He's very excited to serve as well, so.
Good. Council, with no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That completes that portion of our agenda tonight. We will turn to communications from citizens. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on any item not on our agenda tonight?
Thank you very much. My name is Carol Chi, and I live on Moravian in Sterling Heights. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the chinkapin oak on Van Dyke. I'm wondering, is that part of the North Van Dyke project that Mr. Vanderpool was talking about? I don't expect you to answer my questions. I'm just throwing out some questions for you to think about. Will there be parking at this for these lower income apartments? Otherwise, how do people get transported to get groceries, church, work, school, et cetera? I don't think this is really well thought out. Is this a proper use of ARPA funds? Because I read that ARPA funds have to be used to rehab vacant, underutilized, blighted, and historic structures mostly, not to get rid of, not to go into vacant land or land that has trees on it, wetlands, floodplains. And I was just reading about ARPA funds to build projects on top of where there were wetlands, to change wetlands and floodplains. It says, while the direct purchase of property containing wetlands in a floodplain is possible with ARPA funds in Michigan, it is not a broad, unrestricted use. It is most likely permissible when tied to specific ARPA-funded programs focused on wetland conservation, restoration, or environmental protection, and it is crucial to adhere to associated guidelines and application procedures. I'd like you to consider that that is a landmark tree. It is so huge, it is so old, it is not insignificant. It cannot be replaced inch by inch or foot by 20 or 30 or 300 little tiny trees. It's not going to have the same effect on the environment. And I think the council, like probably city councils in every city across the country, have to think more about nature than they do about business sometimes. It's all business, 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 business. Okay, fine, but we live here too. People live here, animals live here, insects live here, all kinds of animals, and they depend on the nature that you are so willing to destroy so easily without even looking at it. Myself and another 6 friends of mine, 2 new friends and 5 old friends, we went to look at the tree today and surrounded the tree and talked about it, and then I went out to lunch and had our own little field trip to go see the tree. I suggest you all do that. Go out there and take a look at that tree, see how large it is, see how tall it is, and listen to what the tree can do for the surrounding area. And they wouldn't only take down that tree, they would have to move dirt from the back to the front to build the structures. That's going to result in a huge hole in the back that's going to fill with water, because this is Michigan, we have groundwater like crazy, and then there will be mosquitoes and bugs, just like there is down the street at that building that they have down there further just south of that area. They can't bring in dirt from elsewhere. Let's see here. H.L. Mencken said, the American delight in cleared land amazed the 18th century Englishman who is used to his forests and mock the comparative treelessness of Scotland. Think about Scotland. You go up there, it's so far north, and it's been denuded of trees, pretty much. We don't want that to happen here. I'm not suggesting that it will, but this tree is more important than you seem to realize. I do wish you would go see it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. G. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Mr. Vanderpool, Mr. Kraszutsky. I'm here to talk about the same subject, just in a different vein. Real quick, I was in Florida last week, and they have what they call in the South live oaks. Live oaks are different than what we've got because they have green leaves all year long, and they grow all year long, so they get really big. Their branches go to the bottom. When I was there, they were doing a big development, and I see all these trees with these fences around them at the drip line where the leaves end. They're all the oaks. They're not allowed to touch them unless they're diseased, even for development. I heard that's North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida have broad laws like this in order to do that. So it's just something I want to bring to your attention, that the North is behind on what the South already does. And our trees only grow 6-7 months out of the year. I wanted to let you know that Michigan State turned us down for doing the acorns. It's not going to be possible. They have too many of their own. They actually propagate the trees on MSU's campus and move them to empty spaces. So I contacted a company that is out kind of near Lansing, and they basically are called wild type plants. So if you ever go to a native plant sale, chances are you've bought their plants. They told me that if I'm willing to collect the acorns, and this tree, you have to collect the acorns and within a day, get them to where they're going to be potted, because that's how quickly they germinate, that to get about 10 trees, that we're going to have to collect 200 to 250 acorns, because that's how very few germinate. So just to let you know, we will do that. They're not going to charge us. They're going to do it for free. They said they'll give the city wholesale prices, us retail people. In 2028 is when you'd be able to pick up your tree when it's 3 years old, 1 to 1.5 inches in diameter and about 5 feet tall. They recommend fencing them till they're 7 to 10 feet tall. And if you go to Belle Isle right now, we were there this weekend, they've planted some new oak trees that are about yay high, and they have big fences around them because deer will eat them. So this is not a solution to cutting down that tree. Just so that you get a feeling for it. So 10 trees, 200 to 250 acorns. I'm going to be tired of bending down. I'm going to get a rake, right? That's how few actually germinate. So think about that tree. Back in the day, that tree was lucky to be able to get where it is because it takes so many acorns to get one viable tree. Back in the day, they probably didn't have deer eating them because 260 years ago, I don't know if they had wolves, but they definitely had a lot of coyotes, right? So the deer was probably kept in check in the wood population. So the tree had a chance. These trees are going to be more difficult. So they're going to do it for free. It'll be $85, which, by the way, I'll talk to Mr. Vanderpool sometime about tree costs for the city. $85 retail. They'll sell them to Sterling Heights wholesale. And if Sterling Heights doesn't want the rest of whatever they get, they'll sell them to the public or throw them out, which would be sad. So I wanted to let you know about that. So I want to say good news, but the bad news is there were 0 acorns last year, and this gentleman told me there might be 0 acorns this year. It just depends. It's a long story. You don't want to hear about bugs and how it works. But I do want to leave you with a quote. And the reason why this tree is so important, oaks are different than most trees. This tree is really old. I know you know all this. I'm hoping that if the development falls through, that the city council will take a vote upon themselves to turn this into a park. I'll leave you with this quote from Doug Tallamy, the United States expert on oaks, from his latest book called, well, it's not his latest, it's second to last, Nature of Oaks. He says, "We cannot casually accept the loss of oaks without also accepting the loss of thousands of other plants and animals that depend on them." They have so many species that birds eat and depend on in order to reproduce. It would just, the whole food web would be out of whack. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else under communications from citizens? Now I'll close that portion and go on to reports from city administration. Anything tonight, Mr. Vanderpool?
Mayor, I'd be happy to give a quick response to some of the concerns brought up, if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mrs. Chi brought up a number of questions and concerns. Let me address those first. The status of the project still has to go through final site plan review. That hasn't occurred yet. There's still a number of processes that have to be completed before that happens. The project would have sufficient parking, of course. It has to have parking pursuant to our zoning ordinance and the PUD that's been approved. In addition to ARPA funds, the city's ARPA funds fell into a category to replace loss of revenue and thus did not have the restrictions that the residents spoke to. So none of the terms or conditions that she highlighted were applicable in our case. We used all of our ARPA money for betterment projects all across the city, including this particular project. We had a lot of town hall meetings and public engagement with the community with the use of our ARPA funds, as the city council well knows. I might also add that the particular project in hand was similar to a project proposed 20 years ago. Mr. Grillo bought that property approximately 25 years ago or so and proposed a similar development right along the roadway. Same parcel, same idea, same concept, all in all. So the point is that project or that particular space will be a desirable area for future development. The city doesn't have the legal means to stop development across the city because of a particular tree species. So that's why we have a tree preservation ordinance to address those issues, and we've historically had to do that over time. You could imagine that development in our city just wouldn't have occurred if you know, we prohibited developers from taking down an individual tree. And legally speaking, the city likely would not be able to do that. Let me just say that the mayor and city council and administration have been laser focused on environmental stewardship across the city. As you well know, we've talked about this countless times. Well, first, this has gone back decades. The city had the foresight. Mrs. Koski is well aware of this. She was a big champion of it and still is, of acquiring property to preserve 85 acres near the Corwell Hospital. 85 acres. Not many cities have done that and have pristine nature preserved forevermore under a conservation easement. That's pretty remarkable. Not to mention our Dodge Park Trail system that the city had the foresight to preserve and grow and allow some passive activities in there. All along the floodplain, we've made good use, passive use, and preserving those areas as well. The city council approved an initiative to let the voters weigh in on reforesting the community. Almost 15,000 trees are going to be planted all across the city. Talk about good stewardship. I'm not aware of a city in the state that's made that sort of commitment to environmental stewardship. So I think that's something that the city can be very proud of. Not to mention the nature center itself that the city conducts a lot of programming out of. And kids come and visit that center every day and learn about nature in our community. And it's amazing how many cities our size have a dedicated nature center. Again, the mayor and city council has had the foresight to make these commitments and to make sure that we had financial resources to commit to these initiatives long-term. So I think the commitment in Sterling Heights has been unparalleled across the state of Michigan. Mrs. Graff's idea of propagation of the acorns is wonderful. We'd be happy to work with you to see how we can work hand in hand to make that happen. And if we can buy trees at an even lower cost, thank you. I mean, we're happy to have further discussions with that. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. Mr. Koszewski, anything?
No closed session, Mayor.
All right, council, any reports or new business?
Mayor?
Mr. Yanez.
Through the chair to the city manager. So tonight in the consent agenda, we passed the purchase agreement with DTE Electric for the lighting along Metropolitan Parkway. The city did send a letter to the county requesting cost sharing. I'm just wondering if we got any correspondence back from the county.
Mr. Van.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Yanez, good question. We did send, the council did pass a resolution requesting that the city participate in that funding. We've not received a formal response from the county. We've had informal discussions. I've had a conversation with the deputy county executive. He indicated that they don't have a precedent for any sort of cost-sharing agreement here.
Just did one.
Well, we did for roadway projects, we do for road improvements, for bridge improvements, for, in some cases, sidewalk, but in terms of lighting, they claim there is no precedent for it. So don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reporting what the county has told us informally, but as soon as we get a formal response, I'll be sure to report to the city
Are we
council.
going to get a formal response?
I sure hope so. We will request one. I expect we will, but we haven't yet.
Well, I would suggest that we reach out to our 2 county commissioners and have them formally request a response.
Of course, they were provided a copy of the resolution, but I think that's a good idea. I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Yanez. Anyone else? Mrs. Sarowski?
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I have just a couple things. One, I had some complaints from both our business partners in the city and residents regarding some of the signs that are going up. This is an election year, so through the chair to Mr. Koszubski, I just want to clarify some things. If 2 signs, large signs, not the yard signs, go up on the same poles, do they constitute 1 sign, or are they still 2 signs?
Mr. Koszubski?
On the same pole.
On the same poles, 2 signs. So it's sign on top, sign on
Yeah,
bottom,
it still
2 signs.
goes to the square footage and it's 2 separate signs.
It's 2 separate signs in the square footage. Okay. All right, because that was something that they asked me. I said, I don't know, I have to ask. All right, and that was my business question. And then I just wanted to say, we started Music in the Park for all the residents who have started coming. Thank you to residents who haven't. Now it's your chance. The weather's pretty good, although it's going to get hotter this coming week, but I'm really happy to see we've had quite a group the last 2, and it's been really nice and great to see everybody, and I'm bringing my new dog on Thursday, so I just want to say, everybody bring your dogs and everybody come out and have a great time. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Mr. Radke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to bring up that this Thursday, we're going to be celebrating Juneteenth at Music in the Park. And I had the pleasure of speaking with local historian Michael Lombardini today. He gave me some fun facts about Sterling Heights and Juneteenth. Essentially, the first census that recorded any African Americans living in Sterling Heights was 1840 with 8 free blacks on the census form. Hannah Moore in 1870 was the first documented African American landowner in the city.
A woman.
Woman, yes.
Great.
Charles Russell was the first African American to vote in Sterling Township in 1870.
Yeah, we know.
Charles Fessenden was the Township of Sterling's clerk, elected clerk, and he also helped organize the 54th Massachusetts Infantry, first all-black infantry unit in Massachusetts. He also operated an abolitionist newspaper right here from Sterling Township. And then, this is the more recent one, Barnett Jones was our first African-American police chief in 2000. All this being said, African-Americans have a rich history in Sterling Heights. We're proud to have them. Juneteenth is a wonderful holiday. It's going to be a lot of fun on Thursday. I would urge folks to come out and really walk the farmer's market, and then there's going to be a special stage featuring some stuff at the Patios and Pines Beer Garden before the presentation. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a way to build community, and I'm awfully proud of the African American Coalition for not only really establishing the celebration, but growing it year after year. So I want to give them a lot of credit on the work that they do. I'll be there. Mrs. Sarowski's dog will be there. What's your dog's name?
His name is AJ.
AJ will be there, and I hope that folks at home will come and join us and celebrate this holiday. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.